Rise of the Ronin is a solid action RPG that could and probably should have been stronger. It's fun, but too familiar in the grand pantheon of similar game offerings, not least from developer Team Ninja's back catalogue itself. Rise of the Ronin is deceptively deep. You can absolutely play and enjoy this multi-systemed open-world action RPG without having sampled any of Team Ninja's back catalogue beforehand. But if you have taken the likes of Neo, Wulong Fallen Dynasty, or, going back a little further, Ninja Gaiden for a spin in the past, there's a good chance you'll settle into the structured rhythm the developer has delivered so well in previous outings. There was part of me that felt continually and pleasantly surprised by Rise of the Ronin's ability to systematically tease more and more of what it makes it tick over time. To be clear, it is indeed a big ARPG with tight combat mechanics, a vast suite of customization options, both pre and mid-game, and an array of interesting NPCs and expansive quests. It's not the biggest open world playground on the market by any stretch, nor is it the prettiest, but it does have a wonderful knack for letting you peek behind the curtain and making you think you forced the game's hand in doing so. You haven't. Rise of the Ronin is always in control, and it perpetuates the illusion of choice from the outset, but its pacing and framing in order to allow this is up there with some of the best I've seen in action role-playing space in recent times. Set in 1863, Rise of the Ronin kicks off with the black ships of the West having docked on Japanese shores ahead of their forceful bid to re-establish eastern trade routes. You fill the nimble shoes of a warrior Ronin, roving around a real-world inspired slant on mid-19th century Yokohama in a mission-packed open-world sprawl that echoes everything from Assassin's Creed to Ghost of Tsushima, and indeed Team Ninja's own Neo. The map itself is the first notable Rise of the Ronin feature that offers more than meets the eye. Rise of the Ronin encourages you to use your imagination on your travels, be that on foot, climbing walls, throwing yourself into the air with a grappling hook, or soaring through it on your glider. The game wants you to fumble in the dark before hitting those light bulb moments that illuminate the way. Quite often, there is a way onto that far-flung ledge. You just need to find out how to do it. Rise of the Ronin strives to balance its modestly sized open world by filling it full of side ventures and single-serving tasks that feed directly into leveling up your character. Even if you start off pursuing one preset class from the outset. For example, the Breaker build is a stealth meets dexterity outfitting. Skill points can still be spread to other areas of expertise as you settle into your own fighting style. Better still, you can switch between Rise of the Ronin's core 3 styles, Jin, Chi, and Ten, mid-battle with the touch of a button, allowing you to play to your strengths and, more importantly, your enemy's weaknesses. In Rise of the Ronin, simply bashing buttons like a toddler with your sword raised will get you nowhere. Instead, balancing speed and power is crucial to success. Tempting as it is to go in all guns blazing, biding your time in battle is always the best method, as you work out your enemy's movement patterns and decide when it's best to move and strike, or duck and defend yourself. Keeping an eye on your ki level is also vital mid-fight. Ki is stamina by another name, so you'll make sure you have enough to exploit gaps in attack patterns when they appear, to move quickly when your opponent drops their guard, and to break their stance and execute a brutal, stomach-turning, blood-spilling cinematic takedown at every opportunity. Through this, Counterspark will become your best friend. Rise of the Ronin's answer to parrying. Hitting triangle at the exact right time allows you to drain your opponent's ki at a faster rate while slowing the depletion of your own, and giving you the upper hand in the battle. As you find your feet with timing in combat, ranged weapons are a good go-to. From pistols to muskets, bows, shurikens and more, putting distance between yourself and your aggressor before nailing a headshot is damn satisfying, to the point where I found myself almost exclusively flying through low-stakes skirmishes, splitting skulls with my rifle. You can even use your grappling hook to haul foes from height or pull them closer to cosplay as Scorpion. Stealth is also another viable option in Rise of the Ronin. You see, enemy AI appears to be torn between realistic long-distance vision, which is cool but totally unfriendly in a video game, and some pretty non-existent hearing, meaning you can shoot baddies at point-blank range in the head with a very loud rifle, only to have their mate 10 yards away continue to look in the opposite direction as if they haven't heard a thing. I found this to be really frustrating, as it directly impacts exploration. If you stumble into an enemy-filled zone and you want to investigate, there's virtually no risk versus reward mechanics in place to encourage sneaking in favor of just tearing the place down. One of Rise of the Ronin's defining features is its human bonds, whereby deepening your relationship with NPCs can bring valuable items, teach new combat styles, and grant you special abilities in battle when paired with specific people. Spending more time with bonded NPCs naturally increases that bond, while giving them gifts can help speed that process up. For me, the best thing about all of this is being able to control your NPCs in battle, granting you access to new and undiscovered fighting styles that can complement or even determine your own. Multiplayer likewise accentuates this. Rise of the Ronin can be played with up to 3 players, be that other friends, AI allies, or a combination of the two. And while I've so far only been able to play with computer-controlled backup in pre-release, I presume online servers will fill out the player base following the game's release. Rise of the Ronin is a good action role player, but it's impossible not to draw comparisons to similar ventures that have held the genre up over the last several years. Stealth is better in Elden Ring. Combat is more intuitive in Nioh 2. Visually, Ghost of Tsushima is head and shoulders prettier. Even Rise of the Ronin's Karma and Vendetta systems, Karma is essentially XP and Vendetta is triggered when an enemy kills you, after which killing them in return restores your Karma or XP. These things have featured in various forms over the years in other games, all of which leaves me with the feeling that Rise of the Ronin could and probably should have been stronger across the board. It looks nice, but not always great, with occasional texture pop in spoiling longer distance views. Its combat is fun, its world is worth exploring, and the game itself does a fine job of showing you just, and only just, what it needs to do at any given moment. The problem is, it brings very little that's new to the table, which isn't necessarily a bad thing of course, but it definitely doesn't match a game that clearly had ambitions to be something much, much greater. We give it a score of 3.5 stars out of 5.